Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Hey, buzz, babies. It's been a fucking day, but we're not here to talk about that. I'll talk about my day later because we're here to celebrate some awesome people and an awesome, terrifyingly awesome, actually, campaign that's wrapping up on Kickstarter. I know a lot of you see me talking about it, creeping around behind the scenes, trying to play, attach some like ribbons to you so I can puppeteer you on your way to Kickstarter to get you to check out this book, this entity, this thing that gets its tendrils. It enters your body through your fingernails in the absolute most painful way and just pollutes every cell that you have until it's rattling around in your brain. You can't stop thinking about it. It's that good of horror. I guess I should just bring these guys out and introduce you to the minds behind the madness that we will be discussing tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, there better not be boys and girls watching this show. Ladies and gentlemen, people of normal ages that can read fucked up literature, let me introduce you to Mr. Brian Level, Mr. Kurt Belcher. What is up, folks? Oh my goodness. All right, calm. They're just comic book creators, people. Calm down. I'm just kidding. How are you guys doing tonight? So stoked to have you.
I'm doing well. I can relate to having a day, man, but doing well. Thanks for having us on.
Kurt's dealt with my bullshit before, Brian, but you're in for a treat, my pal. No, I kid. But honestly, like you guys, I was telling the folks, I was telling these guys in the green room, this little, you all know, we got the new puppy, we got Coco, we got the little Coco Puff, trying to fatten her up because she's all skinny and she's got to wear that little cone because she's chews on everything and falling in love with her. It's Bruce's birthday today, and I'm just like in dog loving mode, and these guys do terrible things to animals in this comic book, and I mean, like, first couple pages, it kind of like it twists up your guts visually, but you guys are really good at there's a lot of emotion going through here, a lot of very hard, lingering, long-term trauma that you guys are exploring in this town, on top of these like demonic figures, on top of like the burning churches and the murders, and like what led you guys to explore and how did you do it so well? Because you're like exploring this like cerebral element of horror, and then like Kurt is like making it visual too. It's like, ooh, you're like attacking us from like all these different realms. You're just like coming at us when you read it. It's like I said, very visceral. You can really feel it. Is it like, what was your guys' process? What dark places did you sit in to come up with the unsleeping eye?
Well, first off, when you first started that, I'm like, man, he sounds like he's describing Old Yeller over here up until we got to the burning church. Like the unsleeping eye really kind of, I don't know, Kurt, if you can relate to this, but like it just kind of birthed itself. Like stuff shows up and then you just kind of follow the threads or whatever. And then, when Kurt got involved is when it really kind of started to have a real shape. I kind of had some ideas, I had some sketches, and I had kind of a vague story of what the Looky Loos is, kind of like the general gist of like, oh, tick, 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 just like someone ding, 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 like banging on your window. And I'm like, what is that about? And so I kind of, I had some ideas of what that was about, and I kind of brought, I don't want to say I brought Kurt in, like, it was like I called Kurt to see if the stuff appealed to him conceptually. I called him. I've shared this story before. I called him on the way back from Heroes Con a couple years back, and just to kind of gauge his interest. He was the first guy I thought of because of the way he draws, kind of his sort of general affinity for the genre, and how much he just writes and draws horror. I was like, he's a great fit. But and then here comes Kurt to kind of make the thing for reals.
He's mean. Kurt's kind of mean on the page, right? He's got his style's got a brashness and a violence to it. You kind of like when I said like this book attacks you, like it really does. It reminded me of like a Skinamarink if Skinamarink was what I wanted it to be. right? I was kind of, I'm glad I went. It was a cool experience, you know, and it was weird, but I left like my body felt weird, you know, like I've almost felt like out of breath. And I talked about how like my chest, I was breathing heavy, so my chest kind of hurt, and I had been clenching my hands the whole time, so like my arms and hands were just kind of like tired and felt, so my whole body felt weird.
Right.
And you guys do that, like you bring that level of tension to this narrative in 45 pages too, like, right? So I mean, like, it's a nice size, you know, Kickstarter issue. You're getting more than a comic, but still, you know, still very what you accomplish in less than 50 pages, like the mixture of emotion and weirdness, and like, it's so interesting how you guys you like play with your audience. You're like don't you dare turn that page, but then you're like, you know, you want to turn the page, and you're like, oh, I do want to turn it, what's wrong with me, you know? And it's like, I don't know, I haven't read anything like this in a hot minute. I love horror comics. They're very, very cool. You know, like I've had a lot of horror writers on the show, and I love horror movies, but horror comics just they kind of hit different. You know, you don't get the jump scares, you don't get the musical score, right? You don't get the screams and you get sound effects, but you don't hear them, you see them, right? So it's just a little bit different, but you guys have tackled it in a way that that really like resonates in the audience. Did you guys know, like, did you kind of feel it yourselves, like, I don't know, like I Kurt, when you're like making some of these pages, when you put that head on the hood of the car, right? Like, are there ever moments where you guys like are like, well, should we stop? Are we going too far? Like, is this far, or is it far enough, or like,
yeah,
you know?
I think Brian and I both talked about that. I mean, both of us said, you know, we're biased, but this book is really different from a lot of stuff that you're going to read out there. There's not really anything out there that's like this. Mm-hmm. And when we were first putting it together, Brian and I both had the discussion about, is this going to be too much, or is this going to find an audience? Are people going to get, you know, tap into this and really enjoy it? Or is it just going to, you know, be too messed up for people to come and read? But ultimately we figured, yeah, there would be somebody out there that would want to read this.
Man, you found him.
There he is.
I mean,
like what you were talking about earlier, it kind of reminded me of Grover. Remember that Grover book? Don't turn the page. Don't turn the page. The children's book. You remember that? It reminded me of that when you were talking about that. Don't turn the page. Oh, you turn the page again.
There's a monster at the end of this book, I think.
There's a monster at the end of this book. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does. It feels dirty in a good way, you know?
Well, there was definitely like part of my process is like to try to self-induce that feeling as I write. Like, I'm not interested in like making you feel that. I'm interested in making me feel that. And so like, if I can make myself feel like uneasy as I'm writing, and like I'm kind of like, oh fuck, okay, because like you kind of got to make it up, right? But like like I said, you're just unearthing it. Like, so like it tells you where it wants to go. And so like you just got to kind of make sure you structure it in a way, like, and it's funny because you kind of mentioned like that you don't get like the score and all that stuff, but which on a literal level you don't. But I do feel like a lot of score kind of like creates rhythm. And so to me, like, that's why like layouts are so important, because it is kind of the score of the comic book. So like when you come at the page and you're kind of generating layouts, you're creating rhythm and like creating like a flow to the page. So like that is kind of how I think about like scores and stuff in terms of comic books. So like I do kind of tend to think in those ways. And I do tend to self-induce that, like try to self-induce that like disorientation and fear if I can, of course.
Dude, that just kind of blew my mind a little bit, Brian. That was amazing.
You always hear people saying, you always hear people saying things like, if you're interested in what you're writing, then somebody else is going to be interested in what you're writing.
Yes.
If you're excited by what you're writing, then there's going to be a reader who's excited by that too. Yes. And I believe that.
Yeah, and to the point of touching on what Kurt does, you know, like nobody draws like him. And I think that there's just like he brings such like a grit to the book that I think is like completely indispensable, because it's like essentially a suburban story. But the manner with which he like his strokes and the way that he kind of approaches line and rendering and stuff, like he just adds this extra like other side. It's like everything is still how you expect things to look, but then his mark making kind of adds this like sort of dimension to it where we kind of sour you to certain things. Like even the diner, like as familiar as it is, there's something sinister about the environment. I mean, it doesn't hurt that a guy pulls a gun out, but like the fact that there is, I think that Kurt really brings that atmosphere, and that was kind of one of my big appeals. Like being like, I'm like, who would I even want to do this with? And Kurt was the first guy, because like very few people create work as atmospheric as he does, and still like kind of like grounded at the same time. I really love what he does.
Yeah.
I still don't know how Brian even knew who I was. So I was like, he mentioned me, and I was like, how does Brian Level even know who I am? How does he even know my name?
Yeah, it's Twitter is what it was. So and I learned
Twitter,
to read.
That's at the root of all evil, just like money.
It was Twitter and learning how to read in public school. So that's how I figured it out.
Damn those public educations. No, we need to send like a thank you letter to that school, and I guess Elon for making this match made in hell come forth.
We'll send a copy of the book too while we're at it. I'm sure it'll go over great.
Won't be banned on Twitter at all.
It was interesting when I first talked to Brian about this, and when like Brian was like, because initially Brian, you didn't, you were like, Zoop or Kickstarter. There was like some discussion before the campaign happened, and when I found out, Kurt, that you were I was kind of surprised, because everybody, a lot of us know, like, Brian's a Brian Level page is a good looking page, right? And so when I found out he was writing it and not drawing it, I was like, hey, that just kind of sparked my interest too, right? Because I was like, because it's always interesting when an artist is like no, like like Brian said, like Kurt has this style and it's made for this, and like he needs to do it. So like he saw this little nugget, right? This little ingredient, the magic ingredient to the sauce, and made it happen. But what made you want to step, like what was in your mind that you were seeing, Brian, that made you want to step back? Because your art can get gnarly dark and real heavy and angry inks as well. Like both of you guys do great black and white line art, like, and keeping it with like the grayscale. Like you both could have brought a lot of agency and terror to the pages in different ways. So what made you decide to just stick to the script and let Kurt run it?
Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of visual identity that I kind of pounded out early, like in some sketches and stuff. And I did consider at one point drawing it. I did kind of some like a test, like a half of a test page or something like that, to kind of establish mood and all that, and kind of like there's no counting out whether or not I might draw something, like if there's a short story or something like that down the road. But like, it's not a thing that I felt like was like, I have to draw this. Not because I didn't love it enough, but because sometimes when I write stuff, I feel like I'm the only dude who can like articulate like kind of what I see. Not because other people, like, for me, comics is communication. Like, it's an epistolatory form, right? Like, I'm writing a letter to Kurt. Like, I'm not writing a script like for a stranger, right? So we're just kind of writing like it's a letter to him. And sometimes I feel ill-equipped to write that letter because I have a very particular way, and I'm not a great communicator all the time. But this was one of those things where I was like, well, I can do this. Like, this is like, I can. So then it was like, well, do I want to do it myself, or do I want to find somebody else that's interested in kind of, locking arms with me and seeing if we can kind of make this thing happen? And I was kind of, and like I said, Kurt was the first guy I thought of. Like, and I was like, because like he like looking at his art, I'm like, well, this is mercurial. Like, I can see mercurial here already. And like, I'm familiar with his colored work as well as his just like stark black and white. I've seen some gray tone stuff, but I kind of knew exactly how I wanted this thing to kind of look in terms of tones and shit. Because like the half tones, because it's a newspaper sort of thing, and then like the gray washes, and like I just kind of, and I was like, I just, for some reason I could see his work that way, and when I reached out to him, he seemed into it. So,
is he hard to work with, Kurt? You're in a safe space. So no, I'm just kidding.
It's terrible. No,
it's always revisions.
No, there's everything is there on the page, and every once in a while I'll go to Brian and I'll say, well, what is this? What exactly do you need here? And there's only been a couple of times that I've really had to go back and redraw some stuff. Not really from scratch, because I work digitally, so I can kind of pick and choose what I can work with. But there's only been a couple of cases, especially on that last page of number 2, which we just finished a while back, or I just finished drawing a while back. There was a lot of very heavy symbolic stuff on that page. Brian was very specific about what he wanted and where he wanted it and how he wanted it to look. And I was like, absolutely, show me exactly the way you want it. And he actually went and did a sketch of that page that I worked on, or that I worked from to make the final page.
Oh, cool.
His tones and gray washes over my art are just fantastic. It's a great compliment that he was like, this is, he was the only person I thought of to draw this. So thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd print that out and hang it on the refrigerator. Like that's what I would. If Brian Level said, Blake, you're the only guy that can do this, and I need you, I would be like, fuck yes, like let's go. So yeah, that is, and honestly, dude, like Kurt, I've liked your art for a long time too, and I stumbled into your work by getting to know like all you Dead Kingdom guys, right? And like and all that stuff, and then following you and seeing the I love when you like post random sketches. I love when you draw superheroes, like your style and superheroes is I don't know where it really works for me. Like I don't know, DC, if anybody is at DC watching, Jeff Johns gave me this hat. You should hire Kurt. I don't know. Just I have this. Jeff Johns gave me the hat. He said that meant. No, I'm just joking. Jeff didn't. He gave me the hat, but he didn't say it. It's not like a golden ticket. Kurt, I'm sorry I led you on, but I don't. Brian probably would have better luck getting you on at DC. I don't know. But I'm just joking. But you are like, I do love the way you draw superheroes. It's funny, or it's not funny. It's intriguing how your style can translate into kind of different realms, and you can see it's very you, right? Your voice is very present on the page, but you throw some colors on it and make it a little brighter, and then it totally changes, and then you guys take us to Mercurial, and all that color and hope and goodness is sucked away, and it's like, oh man,
as it ought to be.
Yes. So you got it's a good pairing, and I'm glad he reached out to you because like I said, I love Brian's art too, and but yeah, like especially after reading this, like you just can't, like sometimes you read those issues and you're like, oh man, like what if the old artist was still on this issue, or but sometimes you read stuff and you're like, this could not have happened any other way, right? Like this could not even people that are like, oh, I like color and like when you look at this, like even with like if it was like soaked in red and flame, like that heat, that warmness would change the tone, and so it's so fucking bleak in like in awesome ways, and so yeah, just all your stylistic choices are real aggravating. Like me as a writer and like work, like trying to work in comics and other ways too. It's just like you guys are too good. It's aggravating. You're doing horror comics, right? Which is also aggravating because this Kickstarter should be over 10 grand. It really should, and I got a bone to pick. We'll sit here and wait till you all go to Kickstarter and get this thing over 10 grand. You guys got a minute? We can tell some stories.
Oh yeah, I gotta bust out tattoo shop stories then. So
I did. Okay, so I wanted to ask you because I've wondered this for a long. I've always thought this about tattoo artists because some of the stuff you guys do is crazy, and your medium, flesh, right, is interesting in itself. But like Kurt said, he does digitally, and if there is a mistake or a change, you can kind of go in and change that. And even like physical artists, there's ways to manipulate a mistake, right? But when the body is your canvas, you are not allowed to make a mistake. And if you do, like that's like that's big money, that's bad reviews, that's bad word of mouth, that's bad for business and shit, right? So like what made you want to go into like that's an intense thing to get into. Like even like as talented as you are, and proficient with the needle and ink as you are too. But like what made you want to like get into that like intricate tattoo business? And now you like you have your own shop, or is it shop, parlor? I don't know, like the correct terminology, but you got your own jam, right? Like it's yours too. So what made you want to just like ink everybody and yourself and chase that tattoo dream when you were younger?
I mean, I like kind of simply, it was just rock and roll music. Like that was kind of what made me want to make tattoos, because like I used to read Hit Parader magazine and Circus magazine and shit in the 90s when I was a kid. Watch MTV Headbangers Ball and 120 Minutes and stuff, and all these people had tattoos. I thought they were super cool, whether it was like the grunge people up through like the metalhead sort of things. And they're like, tattoos just kind of were ubiquitous in rock and roll in the 90s, and well, pretty much from the 70s, right? It's just how many you had by by now it's just like full coverage. But it was rock and roll really that kind of like got me turned on to them, on just an aesthetic level. And then when I was in college, I tried to get a gig as a apprentice, couldn't get it, ended up having to leave college because I ran out of money, and went back working at Max and Irma's. For those of you that know what Max and Irma's, if you don't know what Max and Irma's, it's a restaurant, like just kind of like a sit-down hamburger joint or whatever with one of those sort of places, like Chili's or whatever, right? So I was a line cook, but I was playing in a heavy metal band at the time. And, a lot of the guys in the band still lived at home. I didn't, a couple of us didn't, but they were getting tattooed a lot because they had jobs and lived at home, so they had disposable income. And I did a lot of merch designs for local bands like around the Toledo, Cleveland area, Detroit, Pennsylvania. So just because we toured around a bit and made a lot of friends. And so we would get free merch out of the deal. I'd get free merch out of the deal. And so we'd pass it all around. And, the guy who taught me, Evan, which, was a great guy, he's passed away. But Evan kind of was tattooing my friends and was like, these shirts are so cool. Like, always compliment somebody's shirt. And it was always like, oh, yeah, it's a band from blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, who designed that? Oh, my friend Brian. It was always me. And so he was like, man, is this guy tattoo? And he was like, no, he tried to get a tattoo job back when he was in college and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, if he wants to learn, I'll teach him. So I was like, fuck yeah, like, that's
cool.
So I started apprenticing while working an hour away, drive an hour one way, hour back. And I did that I had a super short fucking gnarly apprenticeship where, I just kind of did this for only 3 months to kind of get me ready for the college sort of fall. And then been tattooing ever since 2003.
Wow. How long have you had your own place?
I've had my own place since 2012.
Wow.
Open for 12 years now.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. It's like a sanctuary for me.
How steady? Do you have like surgeon steady hands? Like could there be like an earthquake going on around you and you're like you could just play Jenga, just like beat everybody, just like
kind of.
That's why I could never do tattooing. I would be like my hands would be like, I can't do this, like I'm leaning on somebody's body trying to draw, under their skin.
Well, that's what I do. I just lean on people for real. Like, I just kind of lay into them. Like people call me heavy-handed sometimes, but it's not because like I push hard or anything with the tattoo machine. It's just because I fucking will put all of me, onto you. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty used to like clients move around on you a lot, like if they're or they're not ready, like it's not that, and it's most people are awesome, but every once in a while you'll get like that, like that person, whoa, like, whoa, don't fucking do that.
Oh, shit.
Like, you're paying for it though, either way, like it's same price, dog. Like, so
yeah,
I don't. It's that's kind of I got pretty steady hands because of that. I mean, I'm like not as steady as like some inkers I know. Like comic book inkers have much steadier hands than tattooers, I feel like, because tattooers we can kind of lock ourselves in onto the skin and stuff like that, and the way we pull strokes and stuff. Like comic book inkers are like fucking crazy. Like those precise inkers, like your Jay License, John Glapian, Danny Mickey, like pulling these fucking super long, super smooth, like brush lines and shit. It's like fuck, man.
Yeah, it's that that shit freaks me out. Or like the guys who do like pinstripes on cars.
Yeah, dude,
and like go like all the way down the car, and I'm like, ooh, no, you
like
robot,
people-
that's not possible. Like,
People who do calligraphy, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, how do they do those smooth lines? And
It's
I
all
would be like,
shoulder.
yeah,
that's
make it
technically
all
what
angular and chunky and everything.
a lot of tattooers do end up getting into pinstriping and stuff like that because they are super steady-handed. So like it's a crossover discipline there.
By the way, we got some people in chat. As I ignore. They know they've been around. We got Ronan coming from Australia. What's up, dude? Happy to have you. Mr. John Westhoff of Part Time Comics tuning in. Thanks, dude. What's up, Pierre? Tuning in. Pierre saying we did start an hour late. Late tonight. It's fine. I took a nap. It was awesome. So like. Like I'm not complaining. And Jim says Brian can talk and tattoo and draw at the same time.
That's Jim. What's up, Jim? I tattoo Jim, so he's
nice.
Yeah, Jim's a good buddy. Like I've tattooed him extensively. He's a great guy.
What's the deal? I won't. I know we're not here to talk. I don't even have tattoos, but they intrigue me, and I do. I think they're like beautiful on people, right? Like I think they're so cool. Needles freak me out, and I've never seen anything that I've been like, oh man, like I probably need that on me forever. But like I remember I had a gnarly concussion when I used to be a bouncer, and I went to the ER because I wasn't like making sense talking to people, and everybody was like, you're going to the hospital, Blake. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And so like this nurse, a very, very attractive nurse is like, you know, checking me out, like shining lights in my face. And like, and she's like asking me about the bar and stuff. And she said something about tattoos. And I was like, yeah, I'm just, or she's about to give me a tetanus shot. Cause I had a cut on my head. And I was like, I hate needles. And she was like, oh, the big bad bouncer's scared of needles. And I was like, yeah, he is. And then she was like, oh, too bad. And I was like, but what, like, I see this new deal now, and it's like the whole, like people are like blacking out like huge chunks of their body. And then sometimes they're like segmented and it looks crazy. Right. But like, that's insane. Like to totally like black out, like when did that trend start, and what's that all about? Because it's not always about covering up stuff you don't want anymore. Like some people want like that whole, just like everywhere. It's crazy, and I don't know. Like I'm in like a weird algorithm where like gorgeous women with tattoos and playing guitar pop up on like my Instagram and TikTok all the time. But they have these like awesome crazy tattoos, and some of them like their right hand will be like all black and their shoulders like, and it's just like huge. And I'm seeing that more and more. It seems to be like a trend.
I mean, it's just all about self-expression, right? That's what a lot of that stuff is about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a little more cynical. No offense, Kurt. I think people like to be seen, and I think that has less to do with self-expression and more like want people to react to them. And I'm not suggesting that's the way it is with these type of tattoos, right? Like it's all tattoos. But the trend of the blacking out and stuff is new as it is, like in our faces. It's been around since the beginning of tattooing, you know. And like it's just kind of one of those things that comes back inside. Right now, it's maybe a little less symbolic and a little less initiatory than it might have been in more ancient practices.
Okay.
But you know, it's still just kind of aesthetics. A lot of it now. But you know,
as with anything, I guess tattooing runs in cycles, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Like with any other
expression. Yeah, like trends and what's hot and. Yep. What do you do when someone wants a dog shit tattoo and you're like, and you know, like you're like, this is gonna look bad, this is gonna look dumb, and in a week you're gonna hate it.
Yes, I'll let you guess what I do.
You take their money and do it, I'm sure, right, baby?
I tell them it's a bad idea.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, but I'll still tell them that I'll tattoo it.
Like, look, I'll do this.
After you give them the tattoo, you're like, that was stupid. But I'll take your money. I'll still take your money.
I'll tell them beforehand for sure. I'll be like, "Yeah, you sure you want to go this way? Like, I'll do what you want, but like my opinion is this." So I try to give an honest opinion because I don't want anybody walking around with any dog shit. And you know, and I'll try to be honest, like where it's like I think that this is fundamentally a bad idea, versus I just don't like this. Like, so like I try to separate my preference versus what I think is actually a good quality tattoo.
Okay.
Like archival nature, like having it last forever, is A plus. Like that's part of the job. But whatever. We're not here to talk tattoos, right? I could do this all fucking day.
Yeah, that's one of the
Okay.
reasons that I've never gotten any kind of tattoos is that
Oh, you don't have any either?
I would
Sweet.
want on my body for like forever until I'm dead. You know, I can't.
The
Think
more
of
of them you get, the less you give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
the more tats that you get, like generally you just don't care. Like, you like at
I've
some
heard that.
point, most clients they give over from one point to just like it becomes about what they want to get, and then it eventually transitions to like I guess what I'm trying to say is early. What the tattoo is super important, and then the more tattooing that you do, it becomes more about just being tattooed because the experience and the time that you spend and all that stuff becomes much higher priority than kind of the like content of the piece. You know, the end product still matters, but it's not necessarily like you often don't see people don't often hem and haw. Like the longer I'm with a client, the more they're just kind of like, fuck it, what do you want to do? You know?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I've known a lot of friends and family who have gotten that first tattoo, and then after that, it's like floodgates open, and they get 2, 3, 4 more right after
Same
succession.
I've had buddies that got like one tattoo, and then like next summer it's like I got the sleeve plan. We're starting to coil. Then like this is gonna be like my life story. It's gonna like coil down my arm, and it's all gonna come to my elbow where my kid was born. I'm like, cool, dude. Sounds crazy, and like and it ended up looking cool. But it is funny how you're like, I really like elephants. I got this elephant on my arm. I was drunk last week.
Here's how I always kind of explain it. Like, so have you ever had a friend who like got religious or had like a political awakening or just got into comics? Like,
man.
It's a big shift, like to where you wake up to something, like you become like very zealous about it. And you go real heavy in. Like it's pretty typical. So like once something kind of wakes up in you, like and it's for real and it like really speaks to you and it's really important, like you just kind of like like you just go all in, and that's kind of what happens a lot with tattooing. I think is like just like you get like the sort of fever, you know what I mean? Like I got tat fever or comic book fever or whatever it is. Like I want all of this, the Spectacular Spider-Man run and all of this Moon Knight shit, like it just happened.
And then I'm never gonna read it because I don't have any fucking time. And then but I got them. No, yeah. I very much. I've always liked comics, but I mean, yeah, the last few years, like, and I don't know, man. Everything just. I've gotten very lucky, but it was like, oh, I like comics, and then it was like, I'm gonna write about comics, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna talk about comics, and it was like, oh, now I work at a fucking production studio, and it was, oh, now let's run a website, and I'm like, what the fuck's gonna happen tomorrow? I don't even know, but we're here. That's all that matters. We're
congratulations, you just got promoted to editor-in-chief.
I did. Thank you. Yeah, editor-in-chief of Geek Network. Yeah, I've known for a while, but we didn't like I had to like you got to like wait till like the right time or whatever, cause like just like when you can't announce a comic when you want, you have to like wait until after the second solar eclipse or whatever, like at that exact time. But yeah, we announced it today. It's exciting. It's scary and fun. It's weird because I always kind of wanted it. Blake's Buzz started as a blog, like, and then I started talking into a microphone, and that was it, right? I was like, oh, this is fun. Let's do that. And I didn't have, when I was working the like regular day job, I didn't have time to like write reviews, prep for interviews, do the interviews, edit the post, do the pot, so like the kind of writing kind of went to the wayside. But like, yeah, now comics are the day job, so it's cool. I can like. I get paid to write, I'm not, someone said like, oh, well, you're not like telling stories. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But like, I'm getting paid to write. And, when I got my BFA and when I was in my MFA program, like there's a lot of us that were just like, that was the deal, like none of us could imagine like getting paid to write. A couple of like, some of the classmates would do well and they're like getting published and, like so some of them like they're like, oh yeah, my thesis got picked up and they're going to put it out here, and it's like, and meanwhile you're like, well, nothing's happening to me. That's cool. And so yeah, I'm actually getting paid to write, which is not, and I have been for a little while now. Like I do a lot of copywriting at work for like Kickstarter pages, and I write Kickstarter updates, guys, like you wouldn't fucking believe, dude. I've written so many Kickstarter pages in a year. Oh, sorry, what?
I said I do believe it, actually.
But like when you, I want to go back to this idea of the fever, Brian, and this idea, not just necessarily with tattoos, but there is, like you said, there's a comic book fever, right? There's a hunger when you find something you're really into, and I can definitely see both you guys have that with this genre, with horror, right? And what gets you guys into the zones here, right? Because I know, like, you know, Brian's got kids, and he, you know, like the kids are doing stuff and they're going to family events and like having good days and stuff. And they post pictures on Facebook. They're smiling. Kurt, I've seen you smile a couple times before. You guys seem happy. You seem fun. It's like, what do you what do you do to like get in to like go to the dark places and like put them on the page, or like what are you reading, or like music you're listening to, or you know, weird movies you're watching that give you guys ideas for this? Like, where's the darkness come from?
I don't know. I mean, just from the time I've been a kid, I was into horror. You know, I loved reading Stephen King. Obviously, I loved watching, you know, stuff like Suspiria and Deep Red and the Friday the 13th movies, Halloween movies, all those. But really, I mean, I just have to read what Brian's written, or whoever it is that's written the script. I just have to read their script, and that always, I can always see that in my head. I write a lot of stuff too, so I can kind of look at it from both sides and see what the writer's kind of trying to communicate with the script. And I think obviously Brian can too. He's an artist and a writer. So I think he has a particular way of writing that other artists can appreciate and really sort of get their heads around and start imagining what those pages are going to look like, what the panels are going to look like, what, you know, the action scenes, the horror, like the dog on the car hood, you know, stuff like that.
Damn it, Kurt. I just forgot about it.
And I'm reminding you again. Yeah. So,
no,
read the comics again. You'll get reminded of it again.
Yeah, and there's like worse moments too. Like that's like, because you guys aren't like it's the kids. There's this whole idea of like not being able to recover from trauma because everything is burning around you, right? And like that's so scary. That's like when
about the book.
Yeah, like it's intense, and that's what like shocked me, because like it's a really dark idea and a really good, strong idea, but I feel like it's an idea you have to feed and keep hungry to sustain it. Like you have to give it a little bit of yourselves. I don't know. It's probably not that intense, but I like want it to be in my mind, right? But it's you guys have made this fucking monster, and it's like it's insane.
An intensity to the book, definitely. But the big thing that I loved about it was the family trauma. You know, I mean, there's so many layers and so many different characters in the book that have trauma, even if you don't explicitly see it stated in the book. Like Bo, obviously, he has trauma with his past and the things that have happened to him. The family are going through the trauma right now and have gone through it since the death they experienced. And also Rivera, I think there's a little bit in her background that you don't really see anything stated there, but you get a hint that there's something deeper going on there with her.
Do you guys ever worry as like creators, whether it's this project or another, can you ever like push a character too far? Like, can you like almost, I mean, I guess it would be like akin to writing yourself in a corner, right? But like, you know, you have these characters and a lot of them are strong, right? And they're trying to like move past this. They're trying to fight. They're trying, you know, they're not giving up. They're not, you know, complacent, right? There's a drive and there's a momentum and a spark of like that something may be better one day, right? But I mean, like, is it ever like a struggle when you're writing something intense and heavy or like Dead Kingdom, when like, you know, when there's like no technology and only swords and a zombie apocalypse, right? In these like impossible scenarios, is it ever have you ever like been like, oh wait, like we broke her. We can't break her yet. We gotta like wait, save that, or can you like save a character? Can you break them in the narrative and write them out of it?
Well, I mean, I think this comes back to my opinion on people more than anything than story.
Okay.
Like less story and more about people. Like here, when you read this, right, like you're like, I think most people that read The Unsleeping Eye, like it's pretty relentless in the dread and the fear and the sort of like just the constant chaos. And we're always like looking for the way out, like, or the resolution. And the people of Mercurial aren't. Like they're like, if you watch them, like they are living with it. Like they're not like waiting for the moment to escape. Like the eyes, they're trying to resolve things, right? But they're like, everyone else is just kind of dealing, you know what I mean? Like they want, people don't want this to happen. But I think it's kind of the stark difference between the reader and the characters in the book, because when you see them act, like it's almost like erratic, or kind of like they're nonplussed about certain things, but really upset about other things. And it feels the world's a little alien. I think it's largely because they're living with these things every single day, whereas we're just kind of there for 38 story pages and like, fuck, where's this going to go? In terms of breaking characters, we absolutely break them. And that's, to me, like, not because I want to, but because I feel like that's like what has to happen here in Mercurial. Not because Mercurial is so, fucking wretched or whatever, but like it's like there, some people are broken, some people are not. Some people just cannot be broken, no matter how much you do to them. Like they're true heroes. And then other people fall apart very easily. I think you can see a little bit of that in that first one, where it's like this, chest puffed, like sort of heroic figure. Like once they're out of the, when no one's looking, you see kind of how delicate they really are. And I think that's kind of part of how, like, we just are constantly like putting things in front of, like these things. Like I don't really think about it in terms of like persistent traumas as much as just kind of like living like in misery. Like, can you still find joy? Can you still be in love? Can you still do it? Like, those are things that are important to me to think about. When you were kind of talking about the headspace to get in, to do this stuff, like a lot of it stems, I think, largely because I'm a religious person, and like awe is really close to fear. They're very, very similar. And so when you get into these spaces, like I'm always trying to find like the numinous in these things, and so when we show up to the sort of like these chaotic environments, they almost feel like alien and like so massive that it's like kind of beyond your comprehension. It's very Lovecraftian in that way, I guess, where you're just kind of like, well, I can't fucking put this together. So like, but I am kind of like, like, whoa, and I that's what I hope that we can at least articulate with the reader, is just like a sense of like palpable, like overarching, like almost God level terror, or fear, but like never like in the particulars. It's always just kind of an overarching vibe. And these people just have to deal with this. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do we live in a space that's just kind of like where hell comes home, so to speak,
Yeah, it's like living in a war zone,
Right.
Yeah.
in that sense. But you were talking about does Brian break characters? And that's not to give anything
Yeah, and
away.
you started giggling. I saw you, Kurt. Brian was like, yeah, we're breaking characters, and Kurt's like, yes, we are.
Wait till you read number 2. That's what I was thinking. Wait till you read number 2.
I hate it when you guys do this to me. Many of you guys do. I love a first issue, and every time I do, I'm like, oh my God, like this is such a great issue. And then they're like, wait till you see number 2. And I'm like, well, now I gotta wait. Like,
if it helps, if it makes you feel any better, like each story we try to keep really short, So like issue 2 is the end of the looky-loo story.
Oh, okay.
Like issue 2 is already drawn. Kurt's already got it finished drawing. Like we just have to tone and letter it. So it's not really that far away from us. But we're, like I think the story after Looky-Loos will probably be 1 issue, but we're trying to keep these stories short, like almost like articles in a paper, right? Like have these stories in this broader, the world of the Unsleeping Eye, in the city of Mercurial. Like everything kind of seems to feed into that format, for us, I think.
Well, I've been totally distracted by listening to you guys talk because I love listening to your horror process, and I have yet to actually show people the craziness that we're talking about in the Unsleeping Eye. As you can see, I like 61 hours like this. Like help us break 200 backers. Like this thing deserves well more than 200 backers. It's so close. Like I get it's funded. If you guys come, you back it, whether you go digital, physical, or go like sketch. There's sketches, original art. We're going to go through some of that just a moment. There's some really cool stuff you can get. Very affordable pricing, very fair pricing. You know, like everybody's like everybody loves Doug. Doug's helping fulfillment and stuff. Like he knows Doug's done Kickstarters. Doug knows how to play the game.
It's a big chunk of story. It's 40 pages. So.
Yeah, and it's gonna come in a nice. Yeah, it's gonna come shipped nice and sturdy. And anyway.
And you know, if you buy the physical copy, you know, like the artifact itself matters to us. Like we try to make the book actually feel significant. You know, like. And also, like, we haven't touched on this. The last time we were on a podcast talking about this book, like, I was really happy to hear that the people who read it found it funny, because I also think it's funny. I don't know if you found it funny, Blake. I know it's pretty bleak.
The Oddfellows are funny. Like I love the way they talk, and it's there, and it does like juxtapose against the bleakness, and you do notice like some of the one-liner and just like how they talk. Right. The wedding dress is like you kind of chuckle, and then like I felt like the absolute dirtiest human garbage after, because I was just like, man. And then, but you do like there are like brief moments where you don't really know what to do other than kind of laugh. But then you like turn the page and there's like the window tapping scene, and you're like, oh, there's like, it feels like there's bugs on me. It's so bad, you know? So there's a very large mixture of emotions when reading this. But yeah, the way your cryptids talk, and I didn't expect that when I read this the first time. I expected like voiceless things that come out at night that do creepy shit, and they do that too, but like the way they're just like out walking around and knocking on people's doors, and talking to the townsfolk and talking to the journalists, and it's like, I'm like, oh my God, like that. And that adds like a fear and a ridiculousness of it all too, because it's just like it's like, you know, it's like Thanos laughing at Hulk, right? When Hulk tries to hit him or whatever, he's like, you know, like, what are you gonna do? You gonna stab me with your cute little knife? I'll eat all these people right now, right? You know, and it's like, I love those that just like they don't give a fuck, and it's and that, like, I was kind of jealous of it a little bit too. I was like, man, I wish I could like not give a fuck like that, but I'm glad I don't, because I like having like a slight moral compass and not, you know. Have you met our dark friend Satan, folks? That's the important question.
our dear darkest friend Satan. Yeah, they're kind of funny. Like, I think the Oddfellows are pretty funny. Like, and I enjoy writing them because I do have a good time writing like these sort of goofy. And I always know like Kurt's gonna like crush it with the body language and make them feel sort of like these sort of shambling freaks. But it is funny how even though they are entertaining, like, you know what they're capable of immediately.
Yep.
So like it does create like a general tension where even if they're yucking it up, you're just like, fuck, where's it going though?
You're like scared to laugh at them. You're like, what if they hear me?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, they're not even real. You know, like what? It's like, that's the level of tension that is brewing in these pages. Like you're nervous to like show emotion to the panels that you're facing, because you're like, they'll use it against me somehow. It's that level of gnarly.
We do and we will. So like have that like and there's, I think, like part of the fun of this is like they're like unrepentantly evil creatures, people, characters, whatever you want to call it, like unrepentantly evil Oddfellows. And I think like part of the fun of writing this isn't like really seeing like as mean as I can make them, or as, you know, like as violent as we can make them, but it's kind of like, well, like, what does evil look like? You know, like what is, like, it's because it's not as simple as just kind of like, well, they scowl a lot. and they have a knife
Yeah.
and they'll get you. Like, it's not like, to me, that's not what evil is.
Yeah.
It's more like it feels more pernicious and strange.
And that unpredictable nature of the characters, you know, like Blake was saying, you know, you've got some points where they're really funny and you're kind of laughing at them, and then the next page they're killing somebody, and it's like whiplash. You know, I know on one of the other podcasts we've done, we talked about how it left you off balance. You know, the story just kind of puts you off balance. You're not sure what your footing is with the book, because
I like to call that discombobulated. The old discombobulation. I think that's the technical term. Use that alongside cattywampus. Oh man, now I want to write a review where it says discombobulated, going cattywampus from panel to panel, and then be like, "You guys made me an editor-in-chief."
One of my favorite colloquialisms in that vein was someone got duped into something, and they said like, they fucking goat roped me. And goat roped was like, I never heard that before, and that was like instantly like, well, that imprinted in here, and now I use that forever.
I might too. That's catchy. I remember in high school one time we drove one of our teachers crazy because I went to this all guy high school for like 2 years. My dad wanted me to play football for their football teams. I was, it was like a giant high school. I was huge, and I was like, everybody was like, "How are you not a lineman?" And I was like, "I like playing video games." And anyway, I went to this school and let my dad down. Didn't play football. But one day this dude, the jocks, like they kept saying "over yonder," and it was just like it started being this joke. And this teacher like got so like he was like, "You guys got to shut up." And I mean, like they were using it in like PowerPoint presentations, and like everybody started doing it, and it was just like. And I mean, like, even if he was like, "Get out of here, go to the library, I don't want you in here," and we're like, "The library over yonder," and he was like, "I will give you demerits," you know. And it was just like but the whole, like, every class he had, like, everybody, and I mean, he finally was like, we talk about breaking people, you push people too far, like, dude, we pushed this teacher way yonder, and it just went back. But he threw a marker at a kid or one, I don't know, like he didn't get fired or anything, but I heard he threw a marker at a kid.
The old days when you could beat children.
Yeah, the Jesuits, the Jesuit priests didn't fuck around. But yeah, it's this has that kind of tension, that kind of lingering, the lingering paranoia, the lingering fear, the trauma. I challenge you to like read this and not like hear something tapping on glass, like just everything. And I hear it now, and there's nothing doing it, and I have headphones on, but it's like I still hear that. And what is the line? What did she say? She was like, "He makes sure I see all of him," or something, right? And it's like,
Harry Palms.
Yeah, dude, like that line of just like combined with the visual of like him in that window. Oh God, like, but yeah, it just like both of you together is a fucking force to be reckoned with. Like I really hope.
Me of, the video that was put together for the campaign, that reminds me of that, because that starts with that, like tap 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 tap.
Oh yes. We'll have to play it after we look at the pages. But yeah, like that too. They're always there, and she knows it too. It's just like, could you imagine, like, if you're trying to sleep? Of course, you're like not going to sleep. Like, and also, why would you still go to your room? I would sleep on the couch, but but oh man, like just the scenarios you guys put people in are super, super twisted.
She also doesn't get along great with her dad, so
yeah.
He sleeps in the living room, so I guess you're kind of cooked there. No
matter yeah, she's like, that's the only place she can kind of get away from everybody. Yeah. Oh man, that's even more messed up, Brian. Like this, you've like funneled her into a terror box. There's no escaping it.
I mean, she's there too, right? Like that's her choice, not mine.
That's true.
I'm just passing the buck onto fictional characters.
And that goes for the whole town, really. I mean, they're there by choice, you know. I mean,
yeah, they could leave, right?
No, they can't leave.
Oh yeah, everything's blocked off. That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've
They're
stopped.
definitely not there by choice.
That's right. I forgot about that.
It's one of my favorite pages you drew. It's
I
amazing.
love that. I love that. I love the break in the panel on that one.
Yeah,
In
the slice.
second
It's
page.
really good.
Yeah.
And
It's
the sound effects are like very on point.
Mhm.
Like, oh my god, so good. Is this stuff fun to draw, Kurt? Like when you get to just like slice and dice people and like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very often. I mean, I've drawn horror before, but it's not very often that I get to draw that level of like gore
Yeah.
and the detail and that kind of thing. Like being able to see the inside of that guy's brain on that one panel there. Whoop, cuts him right in half. It's great. I mean, and you know, all the stuff that winds up on the road when they're dragging him later. Not to give too much away about the book, but
Yeah.
we see him later, and you know, even worse than that, even worse than being cut in half. So that's yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, it's kind of refreshing in a way to be able to draw that level of gore.
That's cool. It seems like I feel like it would be fun, and also just like you know like kind of get. I've noticed this like when I remember when I interviewed like John Lees, right, and I was like so surprised like how happy and he's hilarious, right, but he's so like he's so on it and present and excited about comics and excited about life and Cullen Bunn, similar, like super nice guy, super chatty, super funny. You guys are both fun to talk to, nice guys, and it's just like that took me at first because you know you would think like you get you guys on a mic and you're like, hey, what's up? How's your day going? Like everything is dark, like everything, the darkness consumes me, and it's fine. That's how it is, you know. And it's but then like it's funny, but like John Lee's kind of mentioned, and he was like, you know, it is a therapeutic in a way. You know, you get the demons out on the page. You get some anger out. Maybe you didn't know you had pen up. You get to, you know, maybe murder a vision of a coworker that pissed you off 20 years ago that you still think about or something, right? You know, like something like, but yeah, it's and I could see like as dark and weird and gross as this gets sometimes, like there is like a charm and fun in it. And talking to you guys like throughout the campaign and when you guys were getting ready to go live and stuff, I could tell you guys were excited about it. You're excited about the book. You're excited about the next issues, the artists you've gotten to do variants and the cool newspaper variants and all the little extra love and stuff you put into all these, the design and these weird little Blair Witch symbols that you guys like implant everywhere and strategically use in your promo. And just like, there's a lot of effort here that pays off. And I hope you both know, like, and I hope once people start getting their hands on this, I know you've gotten a lot of pull quotes and stuff in good press, and you know the podcasters you've been on like it, some of the industry people that have read it like it, but I'm very excited for like the backers to get their hands on this and like tell the world about it, because the world needs to know. It needs to get out there.
I know that a lot of people that are you know overseas that we're not going to be able to ship physical copies to have bought digital copies, you know, just to get their eyes on the book. And I was just really grateful to see that.
Yeah, and apologies to all them. It just became so chaotic, like with the shipping and all. Like it was, I would rather have them disappointed on the front end than disappointed on the back end.
Yeah. I try to do that too. I start as worse as I possibly can, and then they're like, oh, it's not so bad later. That's how I live my life, a quarter mile at a time. No, but a lot of people are doing that, Brian, with especially with how crazy shipping costs are now, and then like stuff getting hung up in customs, and then there's like nothing you can do about it, and then if something gets sent back to you, and like all the like it can get so expensive and be such a headache.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that is happening.
When you send them to foreign countries, a lot of people have to pay again just to receive that package from customers on there. So it's just a headache, too much of a headache.
Yeah. And then you guys seeing what can happen in the next 2 days, right? So we're coming up. It looks you're very close to the first stretch goals. The pen I mean, these are most likely going to happen. We got some cool stickers going on. So like I said, it's these cool symbols. Like Brian, did you design all these? Like the weird stuff?
Yeah, Kurt helped with the main sigil, like the eye sigil there.
Okay.
Like I kind of had like a basic thing, and then he kind of refined it, and then I just kind of tightened it up from there. But yeah, all the rest of the little sigils are me, except for there is one for sulfur that's ancient. So like I did use an existing one existing symbol. So
Okay.
so there's most of them are invented. But they all mean something. So like they're all like, so what you're seeing is meaningful. It's not a.
So you've like made these like these glyphs, and you've also like designed what they powers that go with them, essentially. Like
Not quite powers that go with them or anything like that, but like what they're like, it's complicated, you know, like that's kind of how magic is complicated, right? So
okay.
but like when you like, so when we posted the thread on Instagram or on Twitter, there was like the black box. What was like the white? It was black background with the white box that had all the symbols in it. Like kind of all the sigils that have essentially been designed, and they all have meaning, and they're organized in that grid in the way that they're organized on purpose. So like everything kind of does pertain to something. You know, the best thing I can liken it to for fans of the genre is Silent Hill, and how everything kind of is intentionally placed with symbolic purpose. So we're kind of doing a little Silent Hill thing there, or I guess
cool.
like you know, the Necronomicon, like the symbol from like the star symbol. What is that called? What is that called, Kurt? The that star symbol from
the pentagram?
Lovecraft stuff. No, it's kind of like at the swoopy.
Oh,
I can't remember if there's a name.
Astaroth or something
Yeah,
like
the
that.
symbol of Astaroth or something like that. But so like, you know, you can liken it to some of like the weird fic background that I think both of us have, and everything is pretty meaningful. Like there's no fat on this thing, I guess is what I mean to say.
okay.
Like anything that we put in it is meaningful, even down to like the weird little like what looks like a crossword at the bottom. Like all that stuff is meaningful.
Yeah, these covers, I love the attention to detail. Well, in the campaign, the symbols and like everything, but these newspaper variants, like when Brian told me about these, because when you told me about them, you almost sounded like you were like, I don't know, these like, I think they're gonna be cool, and I was like, dude, this is like the coolest thing ever, and they're gonna open like a newspaper, so it's like that kind of front and back variant. So like, man, I mean, like you need these, and then get you like some Mylar and some of those clear backing boards. I'm telling you, these will look real good. But
they got clear backboards.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, they came out. They got big. They came out last year. They're kind of pricey, but like I mean, yeah, man, they're super clear, and like for wraparound covers and in like a Mylar and stuff, they look real nice.
Damn. Wow. I think I might have to look into that. Might be fucking myself on shipping and handling, but right.
Yeah, it's like for any wraparound covers, or like store, just a lot of the store exclusive variant guys use them because they do like the custom back covers and stuff. Yeah, they're cool. But yeah, these newspaper variants. So I mean, like the pros, there's stories on them. Like Brian said, the crossword puzzle, like all of this can be read. It's like an actual. They're like actual newspapers. This one's Kurt's. Here's Brian's cover. And then oh man, I love how this one's like real like dark, and the font and the writing and stuff on it. Like this one's very cool. Like was this artist's idea, or were you guys like, did you guys want like a dark side of the newspaper to contrast?
And that was all Brian's idea. Brian wanted something where he could have like the light side of the eyes, but he also wanted to have sort of almost like a remark version.
Okay.
Of it, that the Oddfellows would kind of like go in and edit stuff and write dirty shit on the pages and stuff like that, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, that's dope.
And it did change a little bit of shape, because when we went to like, instead of it just being like marked up, like it's just an Oddfellows edition. So like even the writing, His churches burn, never stop, thank goodness. Like, there's no eyes that are going to be pro burning down churches, right? Like, that's only the Oddfellows. So like all the everything written on there is pretty much from the perspective of the Oddfellows, and you kind of get a little insight into who they are too, like what their interior world looks like. It's not like interior like where they live, but like what they think about, you know. And like, because they think, you know, they're thinking creatures, and thinking people, or however you want to refer to them.
Yeah,
So,
they scheme. They scheme, and they're mouthy, and they're fearless. Like,
they're not like zombies. They're not like, you know, all these other like movie monsters you can talk about. They have personalities. They have desires. They have viewpoints. They have things that they're after.
They're horny little weirdos. Oh my god.
Yeah, totally.
We'll give the wedding dress back when we're done with it. I was like, fucking mic drop. Like, good God. Like, the dialogue in this is a trip, guys. Like, I love how unafraid both of you are to like go there, right? Like, you're like, holy shit, you went there. You said that. You made it. Like, Kurt, you drew that. You did, like, you mentioned like when you slice that guy's head open and how you can see the brain. What I don't like about that is his second eye and how it's like the shape's a little misformed because his head got chopped in half, right? But it's like it's partly coming out of the socket, and the pupil is it's a very like fine point, like an instantly dead pupil, right? And like
that's the fun part, though, right?
Yeah, like it's so fun. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's weird to me, it creeped me out, but I liked it, right? But it's little things like that, and little dashes of like crude dialogue. The little bits of it's like demonic charm. These little elements you guys sprinkle into it make such a huge difference, and the payoff is fucking sublime. And to like be able to like wrap all that up into these very cool, like, this would be a gorgeous set. Like, people should be snagging these sets. This is a Riley Rossmo one. Like, come on, you guys.
When you get up on that cover, like, oh my god, it's so beautifully designed. He's an animal. Both him and Ian Laurie. You know, obviously Kurt, like, we've been gassing him up, but like in terms of the variants, like Ian and Riley just crushed it. Like,
did you specifically like seek these people out? Were you were like you have to do this? You can't say no. You're.
I sought them both out. I asked Ian. I kind of gave him like no direction. I was just like, you know, like, this is the town. These are the evil fuckers. Here's the reference that you have. Just kind of know that there is a fold. So like, you're gonna see some stuff above it and some stuff below it. So like, if you want to hide something beneath the fold, like, do it, you know. And so like, if you look at his cover when it's folded up, it's just like a nice serene shot of Mercurial, like above the fold, and then just straight down, you know. So when you see that cover laid out, it's just like, oh, holy shit, you know. Like, it's just a nice town with a weird dark black, you know, newspaper, and see, you know, like, so, but Riley's, you know, has these Polaroids floating around with really like fucked up, like, sort of like I think they're like nude, like photographs, like,
okay,
there, like, so he just has this strange fucked up face, like, woman, just like, it's, you know, it's a bonkers image. And then the story, of course, writing the stories, there's a reoccurring Oddfellow that's not actually in the pages of the book, but only in the articles. So like, you get to hear a little bit about them, and then in this cover, you know, we wrote an entire article to go with his art, and a lot of that was like, I told Riley, I was like, here's kind of the world, here's everything we've established, here's the book, you just kind of make this cover like in world, and I will, you know, like, I will use this event to like help us further understand the town of Mercurial. And so it was a really good time. Plus, there's the little cartoon, like it's the Sunday edition, so you gotta have the comics in the bottom corner.
Nice.
Everything is designed to help you understand where we're at a little bit more.
I think it's pure genius, and like I said, like, they don't. You don't see variants. Like, I mean, you see wraparound variants a lot, but this newspaper style variants with like actual articles on them, which this isn't like, you're not going to get the story information unless you get these covers, which I think is really cool. How many issues are you guys planning on total?
That's up to Kurt, really.
How much Brian wants to do, really.
Yeah, I mean, we can make it as long or as short as really needed.
Okay.
I mean, we have a finale that's, or like kind of what's happening and how we want to tackle it, but there's a couple of stories we want to tell in between now and then. So
because I feel like when you guys do the trade, it's like you got back matter central, right?
I don't know if there will be a trade.
Really?
I'm personally, I mean, well, that's between Kurt and I will have that conversation if the time comes. But as it stands, I'm more interested in the floppies, because they feel like newspapers, they handle like newspapers, and ultimately, I feel like what the eyes would want,
Okay.
I don't think they're interested in.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for just leaving it as floppies and letting people try to track down copies of that,
Yeah.
of that version of the book. So. I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a conversation.
Nice. Well, I like the and Kickstarter floppies are always different than like going to the shop buying floppies, right? Like there's nicer materials, and I think it's dope. You guys are going like with newsprint and stuff. I think I'm
actually not printing on newsprint, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
It's uncoated paper, but it's higher quality. It does feel like paper, but it's not newsprint. I don't think it would honestly handle the black saturation. Like newsprint is pretty like.
Oh, it's too thin.
It can't handle all that K black value.
Okay.
Just really will fuck it up if there's too much K on the page. So we really want it to be saturated with black. So
don't be under the impression that it's actually on newsprint. It's not on newsprint.
Okay.
Right. It's on uncoated paper. Is what it's on.
Okay. But it will feel like it will feel a little bit different.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Like it'll feel like naked paper. It's not going to be glossy or matte coated. It's just straight uncoated paper. The best description I could give is close to it is when you get, if anybody reads Brubaker and Phillips sort of how they feel like just naked paper like that.
Yeah.
It's like that.
I like those. I love those books, and I always have to check because it always feels like I have 2 pages stuck together because they're like it's like nice thick stock and
real toothy.
Yeah. I like that. I like it when you guys nerd out on the design aspects and not just like the icons and stuff that you made and layouts and lettering and like these laying out these like newspaper covers and stuff, but I mean just all this stuff you guys are bringing to the little bits of you that you put in here. I don't know, like it's when people have said this is not like horror comics that are out right now, whether it's on Kickstarter or in a shop, like they weren't lying. They're being very truthful. This is weird. This is the weirdness you want that you can literally only get in this campaign that has like 2 days left. So like get it now.
And I think if I can talk about how at least my approach to horror, and I think what Kurt and I have been able to kind of do together, I'm not really interested in giving you how do I phrase this? I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I don't want you to think that you're getting into this and you're getting anything other than a horror story. It's not it is an absolute but it's to the nth degree. It's not just wearing all the aesthetics and the sort of creativity of horror, which is what draws me to horror, is how creative it is and how creative the visuals are, the aesthetics and all that stuff. But then what keeps me in horror is how challenging it is to my spirit. Where it's not just an experience of visual things that cause me duress, but it's concepts that penetrate me and and it's not that I just think about them, but they cause me a little bit of discomfort long after I close the book. And so for me, wanting to make this book and doing this with Kurt, I think it's our hope that we make an actual horror comic, not just a thing that feels like it was a good time that had some gore, but it's also it kind of sticks with you in a way and imprints on you in a way that's maybe you're uncomfortable at night in your bed, maybe not maybe you're not afraid of Oddfellows or whatever, but it's some of the concepts where you're kind of God, how would I deal with that? Or why am I so upset by that? Right? Blake kind of being why did the head on the car bother me so badly? Right? Just where it's not because we want you to feel bad for the sake of feeling bad, but I think it reveals to me good horror really threatens what you love. and that's like what I feel like this book tries to, I guess, demonstrate or even illuminate with the reader is like, what do you love, and how are we taking it away from you or jeopardizing it? And it can be something as simple as your safety, like the peacefulness of your own bedroom when we're looking at Rose's bedroom, like these things that's my sanctuary. Now it's fucking not. Like, what the fuck, how do we deal with this? So that's to me like what a lot of good horror leaves me a little destabilized.
And
I like that. I like destabilized.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kurt.
Speaking of the creativity part of it, the creativity of horror, I love when the presentation is part of the story.
Yes.
The newspaper folding and all that. But also, like Brian said, this is something that sticks with you. It's not something that you read it and you're like, oh, that's cool, and then kind of put it aside. It's something that after you read it, you're sort of like, ooh, that left some dark spots in my mind. That left some things to think about, not just enjoy it and then discard it. It's not disposable horror. It's really, I guess, what Guillermo del Toro would call like protein. It's not just candy. It's protein. It's something that you're going to have to digest for a while.
Yeah, it's flesh. It's flesh that you're gonna have to gnaw and chew and swallow and shit out.
Dude, I love it when people shit out my books. To be honest, it's awesome. They're like, I was just rewatching The Changeling, the 1979 ghost story.
Yeah,
if you've ever seen that, and man, it's just full of that. It's just loaded with that weight. And it's funny because like then the horror moments that happen are not unlike stuff that you've seen a bunch of times. Like you've seen that stuff constantly, but because of the weight that's packed into it, that when those moments happen, they just cause such tremendous duress. Like whether it's like the wheelchair turning or the ball showing up, like just so many moments you're like, fuck,
yeah,
like, such a headache. But it's like kind of like, I don't know, it's just like getting fucked up is like one of my favorite things in the world. By like, if you can fuck me up, dude, you're my best friend.
Mm-hmm. All right,
so reminded Blake of the dog's head on the car again.
Yeah, it's very no. I mean, the first thing I do when this is over, I'm going inside to eat, but I'm going inside to like hug the dogs, make sure everybody's head's still attached. I haven't heard anybody scream inside. I feel like there would have been some screaming if there were severed animal heads going on. But on that note of like like what the changeling did and the weight and that's very similar to what you guys have done in this book. Like I do love a good horror movie, and so like like Brian threw out the Changeling. Like Kurt, what's one for you, man? That's like a weird heavy hitter that kind of that stuck with you and maybe was like influential in some of your storytelling.
Definitely Suspiria by Dario Argento.
Oh,
go through anything by Argento, really, and it's just weird. Everything he makes is weird and
so horny.
Yeah, and so horny, and so it's like, and so weirdly horny.
Those beautiful Italian actresses, like you gotta be. You start getting those women on the scene, like they just command every moment. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's wild.
What did you think of the remake, the Suspiria remake?
I thought it was all right, but it just didn't feel like the same.
Wasn't the same, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it, but like I thought it was great, but it was just like I kind of really appreciated the fact that it didn't feel the same because like the first one's such a masterpiece that it was like, why are we trying to remake something that's perfect? We might as well. We're gonna do a remake, do something different, and like that weird meditations on war and stuff was really fascinating. I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was. I'll say this: like this is blasphemy, so people can take it with a grain of salt. I thought it was way scarier than the original.
Yeah.
The original was I probably liked better, I guess, a movie, but I feel like I was much more frightened by the remake, which is interesting.
Yeah, old horror movies don't scare me as much. Sorry, Kurt.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, I want to like same with comics, like when you start getting into comics and you start going back in time, figure out where things came from, how things happen, right? And then you start going back. And like Black Christmas was pretty good, right? Like that still freaked me out, and there were some weird moments, and like this person just being, but a lot of
older movies tend to scare me maybe a little more.
Really?
Yeah, personally, I can get way more disconcerted about what's going on screen. I think some of it's because of like the sort of everything's so perfect now, that it feels like it's like perfectly manufactured to like elicit a reaction. And I feel I'm not impervious to it. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about the old things where like mics will clip and things like where it's like just like it feels a little wild. And a little chaotic, and so it's like, oh fuck, like this is like it feels out of control on a formal level, so it kind of sets me a little out of control. Like I'll never forget, still to this day, it fucking fills me with dread every time. Is the original Amityville Horror, when the priest, right now I'm getting like cold chills, when like the priest is in the room and he's getting overwhelmed and the flies are going crazy and then everything cuts out and there's that whisper like
all the sound. Yeah.
And then goes and he's just like,
and then it repeats, "Get out!"
Screams, but the mic clips.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, like even now, like dude, the hair on my arms is like standing up, like it still scares me. And just seeing Piggy under the bed or out the window, like the ghost with the red eyes out the window, and then that pig noise, like, dude, those fucking old movies fuck me up bad.
I will say that like I finally got to watch Sam Neill's Possession. I watched it last year for the first time, and like holy fuck, man, like that was another one where just like extreme tension throughout, right? And a lot of people, this is what aggravates me, is like some people will watch stuff like that and they'll be like, nothing happened, it's boring. And it was like, how did you not pick up on like the overwhelming dread that is just like anchoring you to wherever you're sitting? But like just throughout the movie, it felt like a presence was just pushing on my shoulders, just like there was just a weight, like I was just like smaller and smaller and smaller, you know. And it's just like, and then in the end, like there's tentacle fucking, and I was just like, and I was like, okay, I've never seen anything like that, and probably never will, right? And so like,
so much of it was not really what you would call traditional horror.
No,
relationships between people, and
it was a very unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
There's in that sense, there's a movie called The Living and the Dead by Simon Rumley. If no one's seen it, it's like 2001, and it's well, we don't have to go into this thing, but it's like essentially someone like a guy who's ill-equipped to take care of his mother is stuck with his mother for the weekend while his dad goes to try to sell their estate, which they have a large estate. And he is kind of incompetent, and well, not kind of, he's very incompetent. So it's just like, and the mother is sick. And so you just have an hour and a half movie of this guy fucking up caring for his mom. And it's like exhausting and just full of terror. And it doesn't fit any traditional horror trappings, but you can't describe it as anything but a horror movie. It just feels like so bad, like so bad. It's great. Simon Rumley, genius.
I'm like the whole time you were saying, I wrote the title down. I was like, yep. And you're like, it's exhausting and it's on, and like I felt weird and dirty. And it's the best thing. And that's what I love about horror, and that's what I love about your guys' book, because you can say the exact same thing. You can say like, it made me feel awkward. It made me feel a little dirty. It made me feel bad. Like I was like, liking this might mean I'm a bad person. I don't, and it's like it fucks with your mind a little bit, on top of just like the overwhelming tension and what's going on in this town and what these characters are going through on the page. But then like at the end, you're just like, God, it's fucking great, and it's like you feel like dirty and covered in sin and dust and grime and blood and whatever the hell's on that wedding dress, right? You're soaked in it while you're reading it, but you finish it and it's like you're coming out of like a fresh hot shower, right? You're like, I was in, and it's like you're like, God, I'm a sick puppy, right? That's the shit I like and the shit I want. But I don't like, for real, guys, you got a hell of a horror book here, and I'm proud to have worked on it with you on the publicity side and helping out with the Kickstarter campaign, and I really hope it resonates with the audience like it did with me, because I'm not the best reader, like I'm not, if you read I'm not one of those people that finds like Easter eggs and Marvel movies and like, oh, like I'm not good at picking up stuff like that, but I am good at like vibes and picking up like tone and structure and how you manipulate your audience so well, and all of that you do wonderfully, which is so necessary in a horror comic. And so like, congratulations to both of you for just absolutely pulling it off. And I can't, and like this whole like wait till you see issue 2, like I'm so excited to see what you guys do.
And that's obviously geared toward the audience, like wait till you see issue 2, but that's particularly geared toward you based on some of the things you've talked about today. So I'm like,
oh, cool. It's gonna ruin me. It's gonna
who can know, right? Like, but there are some things you've mentioned today that I'm like, oh, I'm excited for him to see a little bit of a payoff from this.
Nice.
Not like in a grotesque like meh. It's kind of like, man, like this shit's fucking intense, like I think intense is a good way to describe the second issue. It's extremely intense, and we don't really like. I've said this in almost every podcast where I've talked about horror, is that like to me, horror is at its best when it's a car where the accelerator is stuck and none of the bolts on the wheels are all the way tightened down, and it's heading toward a curve on the edge of the hill, like, and that fucker's just going faster and faster, and the car is going like more and more like, and that's like, to me, that's how I feel like this story works,
Okay, you just gave me anxiety because I used to have nightmares where the brakes would go out in my car. and I used to, when I was an idiot at the bar, right? I was drunk all the time. So in these dreams, I would be like intoxicated, like shouldn't be driving anyway, and like the brakes would go out and like everything would be like, and like I'm like kicking the brake and it's like nothing's stopping, everything's going faster, like, and then I would wake up and be like and like, oh god, you just put that back on me, Brian. Level, like what?
Put a warning.
We're bringing up a lot of phobias for you, Blake.
I know, man. Like next, you guys, if you guys do something with like hornets stinging people, because that happened to me too. I was at a
I don't have any hornet material. So.
All right, well that's good. That's good. I got my buddies.
Good news. And number 2, you might find out what happens to the other half of that dog. So.
Oh God! Oh no! Is it in the wedding dress? Oh no! Look, now you've ruined me.
Out on that one, Brian.
I know.
I should say, I do kind of want to say, like, you kind of start off with like talked about like violence toward animals, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of. We don't show any animals get killed.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're
just
like,
show them after the fact.
Yeah, you see like so after the fact, but I'm like, I honestly kind of don't want to show an animal getting killed. Like,
yeah.
I don't even like want to show a bug getting smashed. For some reason, that bothers me. But like, I'm fine with a dude getting his face cut into 2 pieces.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, like it's a weird like. So I don't want to like be like, I can't watch a book where you can't read a book where someone kills a dog, and it's like the dog's already dead. Like,
yeah.
So, we know.
No, it's just an image that just very much like early on sets a tone where you're like, oh fuck, like, all right, Brian and Kurt came to party, and I gotta get ready for it, like, and so yeah, I think like just structurally it's smart too, because I mean, like, right off the bat you're letting your audience know, like, this is not a safe place, and you're not in a safe place reading this book, and that discomfort, it comes out like a fucking perfume, like a gas, or just like
not being able to, that idea of not being able to find your footing, not being able to get quite situated, not being able to get quite balanced in what you're seeing here, because it goes so hard, whiplashing in one direction and the other, and it's just, I think it really fucks you up.
You do that too, Kurt. Like you do. I like the little details and stuff you put in a lot of your panels, whether it's like a bigger panel or a smaller sequence, but like you always give the viewers a lot to look at and a lot to take in. And I like that because it like anchors you to the scene a little more, and it's like you can't escape it, right? Like you're like shackleless to the moment, right? Kind of is how it feels.
I think sometimes it can get a little overwhelming, but I think that also adds to it. The idea that there's so much there that's kind of taking up your attention while all this horrible shit is going on. That could be another part of it.
Speaking of taking up attention, great comic book artist Ryan Lee popped in and said hi, and I ignored him, so I'm an asshole. Sorry, Ryan. And then this is going back to when we were talking about bad tattoos. Jim said those don't make his Instagram page. when I asked you about like what you do when someone asks about a bad tattoo, I would put that on the Instagram page. Be like, this is what I got paid to do this today. I remember, one of the reasons why I never got a tattoo is because my buddy, the first guy, this guy Todd, who's so good at the guitar. We were all in a band, and he got the first tattoo, and it was like an angel. We were all private school kids, right? And it was like there was an angel and a cross and a Grim Reaper, and it was the worst tattoo, guys. I mean, like the guy couldn't fucking draw. I don't know how this guy was in business. It was god awful. Like just no detail. Even when he got it shaded and he got it touched up, like it never looked right. It always looked weird. And yeah, seeing that, I was like, wow, I don't ever need a tattoo. I was like, that's what it. And he would like show people. He'd be like, yeah, and we're all like, God, dude, I would not show people that. Like it was just like, dude, it was. I wish I could find a picture of it and send it to you, man. It was bad. It was like a child drew it poorly.
Good for him for sticking with it, I guess.
Yeah, he loved it. Like I said, and then he ended up like he even put like there was something with his daughter, like his daughter's birthday. It ended up like he started sleeving it, and then he got the wings done. He put like an angel on it. The angel looked shitty, but the wings look real good. So it was weird. It was like this dumb looking angel with these like actually like gorgeous and feathered and textured wings, and I was just like, where did you go? What happened? Like, did the good artists come in and he was like, all right, I did the wings, you guys can do I don't know, man. It was weird. But like, yeah, the wings were gorgeous and the rest. And yeah, I just saw that and I was just like, that costs like $100. Like, oh my God. Like, I was like, but I mean, like I see, like I look at the stuff that you post, the stuff that you guys do in your shop, and it's it's insane what you guys can do on a human body. And so yeah, he just got a bad one and loved it. But I guess if you love it, that's all. It's your body, your choice, your tattoo, your money.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're out there listening, Todd. I haven't talked to you in a decade, but you got a shitty tattoo, man. I'm sorry. Pretty sure Todd's not listening to this show, but
Todd, it's okay. Live your truth, bro.
Well, guys, I've kept you for an hour and a half, and it has been an absolute blast. Like I said, Kurt's been on the show before. It was great catching up. Brian, it was awesome to nerd out with you, man. Like I could for real listen to both of you talk horror and how to efficiently scare people on the page for a very long time. You're both so good at talking about it, and more importantly, you're so good at executing it. So again, I cannot recommend this campaign enough, and it's in the description on YouTube. There's a link there. So there's also going to be a link in the comments. If you go to blakesbuzz.com, there's a link there. If you follow Kurt or Brian, there's links everywhere, which is where I'm going to segue because I am the most polite host. I want everybody to know where to find you guys. So Kurt, like, where's the best place to keep track of you and all you got going on, bud?
Probably Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on all three of those. I'm on Blue Sky as well.
Okay.
I'm not as active there as I am on the other platforms, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Unexcusable. Everything you post, you got to post 8 times, or it's not real, Kurt. That's how it goes. But
yeah, I know. I mean, sometimes you can get it like Facebook posted to Instagram, sometimes Instagram posted to Facebook, but yeah, I mean, you got to.
I don't trust it. I copy and paste.
Time it doesn't work. You can say yes, I want to post that to Facebook from Instagram, and God, it doesn't show up. So
fucking Joe always shows up when you don't want him to. I'm just kidding. I love Joe. Joe, he's got a huge question for Brian. Is it harder being the best? Is it harder being the best artist in the world or the best person? That's a good question, Brian.
Yeah, I declined to answer that. The Midwest.
While I've got Joe Mulvey here, I just want to tell him I love his work. So
yeah,
I'm sure he knows that already.
Big fan of it. I'm such a big fan of Joe. I can't believe he tunes into my show. When I mentioned I interviewed him once, right? I did a horror panel on my podcast, and I had him,
Yeah.
I had Rich Dewick, and I had John Lees, and Joe. I think that was it. Oh no, and Alex Cormack. I got the time zone wrong, so all these guys are sitting in the green room, and I'm like, I'm going over their comics, thinking I got like an hour to prep for this interview, right? And I look at my phone. And they're all like, Blake, hello. I was 15 minutes late for all four of these guys. And I show up and Joe goes, that is the most big dick maneuver I have ever seen. He was like, this guy just came out. He like pulled out his hog. He made us wait 15 minutes. He was like, I've never seen anybody do a show like this. It's amazing. It's amazing. He was killing me.
That made Joe Mulvey love you forever. He'll follow you anywhere.
Yeah, I can hear that all in his voice too. Joe is
and Jason Copland also commented there.
Yeah, he missed it. What's up, Jason?
Such a great guy.
They're just absolute fucking dudes.
He's a beast.
Yeah. All very, very cool. And yeah, super talented artist level. But yeah, Jason's that's so cool too. Like how everybody came to like support him, and he got to design the book, and yeah, I got to talk to him when that was going down. That was cool. And I was still drinking at the time, and I was like, I had my glass of whiskey, and we're about to kick it off, and Jason was like, should I drink? And I was like, probably. He was like, I'm gonna go get some beer. The
cider guy.
Yeah, he was. I think that's what he was. Yeah, he was drinking some kind of cider, I think.
Jason, you missed us talking tats earlier. Jason and I were talking tattoos in the DMs, so.
Oh, nice.
Right on time. You guys missed it though.
Yeah. Well, it's there.
This is going to be posted somewhere, so you can go back and watch it.
Yeah, you go as soon as it's done. That's why I love the live streams. I get to be a lazy podcaster, because when I hit done, it stays on YouTube. You can go back and watch it. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to upload it. I will. I took a timestamp though. I think I got a pretty cool clip of Brian sounding all smart as fuck. It'll be good. It'll be good. But
I hope it does sound smart and doesn't just sound like I'm a fucking pretentious idiot, you know?
No, I did not get any pretentious idiot vibes at all during any time in this conversation. But we got sidetracked. We all got mulvied. But now that we're back on track, Kurt told us where to follow him. Brian, where's the best place to keep track of you, bud?
I'm on like pretty much every platform. I use probably Twitter the most frequently. I would like to use Blue Sky more, but they don't have DMs, so I'm kind of like, fuck.
Yeah.
On Instagram more for tattooing than anything, but I have a personal Instagram as well as a tattoo shop Instagram. So if you look up Brian Level, you're gonna find two things. One's more for tattoos and one's other for comics. I have a Facebook. I don't really get on Facebook, but I have it. Same thing with Threads. Like I'm really bad at Threads. We were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never used it.
Like something in my eye. Oh, geez.
I've never used Threads, so I have no idea if it's good or bad.
It's funny because everybody was talking about it. I think Brian's melting. There's the last we'll ever see of Brian Level. It's on Blake's Buzz. Yeah, everybody was talking about how like Threads was dying, but there's a really nice and not real industry side of the comic book community, but like comic readers. There's a nice like comic reader discourse kind of, and you do like, I don't know, you basically do like, it's good with hashtags. You do like hashtag comic threads, and you can like follow that and see like, and people aren't posting dumb shit. It's for real, like old school comic book scene. Like, I got this in the mail and read it and really liked it, and I'm like, holy fuck, I missed this. Like it's like that kind of nice.
Old school comics Twitter where people were just fucking stoked to be there.
Yeah, just nerding out, not fighting wars every goddamn day or something, right? Like it was just like, let's just talk comics, man. Speaking of, do you want to anything you want to shout out about El Camino or anything? for that. I was going to ask you earlier, dude, and I slipped, and I'm a poor host. I apologize about
That's all right. ElCaminoArt.com. That's art collective with my friends. It's Justin Greenwood, Tony Grigori, Ramon Villalobos, and Ibrahim Mustafa, and myself. It's a bunch of bros that are kind of just trying to take the reins on our own, like sort of original art and like kind of building community, like and shit like that. So we'll be doing some YouTube streams and stuff like that. But right now, I think we're all a little busy, so we're just trying to make sure that we stay in contact without trying to overburden ourselves to what the year looks like. But I think we all had reps before. Not that anybody had bad relationships with reps, but there was still kind of like, maybe we'll just do this together. So there's just, that's what El Camino was, or El Camino is rather.
I was like, whoa, what happened?
that was the idea.
Okay.
Now we're, doing our thing, but that's elcaminoart.com. And then, I have my Patreon as well. My Patreon is kind of where I post like in progress pages, whether it's Marvel DC stuff or indie stuff like this. Like I kind of will post previews or sneak peeks of things, as well as I do a little podcast on there. I've only done one. I've done 2 episodes, only one's up, called Vessels, where I talk about spirituality and creativity and kind of how they overlap.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. I have a Substack that I rarely write on, but when I do, it's overly sentimental, pretty heavy stuff about just kind of like spirituality and horror and sometimes tattooing and comics, but just kind of, once again, the overlap. For me, everything just kind of like, everything in my life just kind of like links up with my spirituality, and sort of like all of these things are different expressions of my personhood. And so, trying to make a certain amount of peace with all that stuff. When you're a horror writer or horror artist, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about people that do these things, that maybe they're not religious, or that maybe they're like fucked up, or like, which I am fucked up or whatever, but it's not like in that way, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a different way.
You seem pretty put together to me. I don't know. You don't. I mean, we're all fucked up.
The same way that everybody is fucked up. In your
yeah, like we're all fallible little weirdos running around a space rock trying to figure out what to do with ourselves, right?
I guess I'm not trying to take the piss on myself as much as just kind of, I'm not trying to say something. I'm something that I'm not.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of the vessel stuff and the throne stuff is kind of getting a chance to talk about that stuff. I personally I love getting a chance to just talk to people, because I'm very interested in people. So like doing the vessels thing, or even I've done some live streams through my Patreon where it's just like, let's just sit in because I have a Google Meet that I pay for, the Google Workspace. So it's like, so if you're on the Patreon, I might post like hey, let's get in a chat later at this time and just hang out with patrons, so we can kind of shoot the shit, so I can get to know them and see what makes them tick, and they can get to know me a little bit and all that stuff. So that's kind of what
those guys in El Camino are so talented.
Yeah,
super talented. And honestly, like some of the best dudes to just like talk with. Like they're fucking hilarious, insanely knowledgeable, but also like really super thoughtful, really kind. I think Ramon is such a shit talker online, but he's like really one of the sweetest people I've ever met. So
he's the one. I think he's the only one of you guys I don't know. I mean, I've gotten to know you over the last couple months, like doing this stuff. But like I've known Tony. I've known for a while. Tony's been on the show for a while, and like
all those guys, like just top tier dudes.
Yeah, like and Ibrahim and is like. That dude, if he sent me a message the other day, wanting to make sure I was okay, because I was kind of stress venting. And I forget I need to not do that, because it's like, oh yeah, there are a lot of people like watch what you say, and when I'm like, I can't handle it, and then everybody's like, oh no, Blake's broken, and it's just, I was like, oh, I forget, like, but yeah, he reached out and he was like, hey man, I just want you to know, like, you're good people, and I'm always around if you need to talk. And we're talking. He wants to, like, he's got that new book coming out. He keeps. I hope you're watching this, dude. He keeps reminding. He's like, oh, you're gonna get to read it soon. You're gonna get to read it soon. And I don't know. There's a dog in that too, and we both lost a dog. It's lost dogs. Like
the dog is okay.
No, I'm pretty sure it dies, because he told me he was like it's probably gonna make you cry, and I was like, oh fuck God, and I was like, but yeah, I love him. He's good people, and I'm not just saying that so that he makes me a Ninja Turtle toy, but if he did, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know. He does. He makes crazy action figures.
I wanted to say thanks, Joe Mulvey. You just backed the book.
Oh, he did. Look at that.
What, Joe? Awesome, thank you, dude.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated, buddy.
Hope you got
Yep.
that newspaper bundle. Like, you should though. That's the one to get. If not, or get your own newspaper. That'd be actually the one to get.
It would have been an absolute hero move if he would have put us over to the stretch goal. That would have been just a classic Mulvey fucking dub.
The classic Mulvey, solid mold, and
Joe is really like one of the most like Joe says nice things about me, but Joe's one of the few guys that's like true blue integrity on that guy. Like you can count on Joe Mulvey for about anything. He's A+.
We're just
he's
$39
real good
away,
people.
so not far. $39.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody, like I said, it's the campaign's coming to a close, but it's you got 2 solid days left, and all like this is where all the backers are going to get the emails and the last minute stuff, and who knows, like is Kickstarter going to like implement? Are you guys going to get like last minute? Like I don't know. Like did you guys see like the update? They're doing this like last minute, like late backer. Like if you miss the campaign, you have like a new option to back it. But they're like, what if it doesn't fund? I don't know. Like you guys, like I don't know. I had so many questions when I saw that, and I think a lot of people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just. I think it's gonna like essentially maybe like after the campaign ends, like a store. It'll be like a storefront stays open for how I'm assuming however long.
Like how Backer Kit does stuff.
Yeah, maybe they're implementing like their own kind of backer kit deal. But yeah, it was just they tweeted it out today. They were like, late pledges coming soon, and everybody was like, what does that mean? What is that?
Give us a fucking definition.
Yeah, like but anyway, yeah, it's been a cool campaign. As I said, the book is great. So I really hope that people watching this will head over to Kickstarter, give it a look, and give it a chance, because it's definitely worth your worth your attention, and it's worth your dollars. I do promise you that. And it's got the Mulv stick of approval, right? So it is Mulv approved, straight from Mulv Nation. I'm gonna Mulvalicious, boom.
Mulvopolis.
The Mulviverse.
It'd be the Mulviverse of madness for sure.
Yes. Oh my God. All right, Joe, you got to come back on the show. We got to do a Mulviverse of Madness episode, please. I won't make you wait 15 minutes. I'll be there on time, I swear. But no, guys, it was again so great to chat with you. I think you guys are both awesome people and really, really great creators. Comic books are lucky to have you. I'm sure a lot of people's naked bodies are lucky to have you too, Brian, in the not weirdest way ever, just because you make them look cooler. I don't know why I said it like that.
You could have framed it so many ways, but you chose that one.
Oh wow, yeah, that's what you get on Blake's
like
Buzz.
Let's leave it.
There's more Blake's Buzz, right?
Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Everybody who reached out today with kind words and stuff, I really appreciate it. Today was awesome. The community has always made it better. I'm so lucky that you guys put up with my bullshit, and same with you both. I'm very lucky that both of you put up with my bullshit too. It's nice. It's comfy and it's warm. And I wish you both I hope you guys keep making awesome comics like this. Whether it's more tales from Mercurial, or if you guys find a new town to destroy and torment, I'll follow you to the ends of the fucking earth, guys. I'm ready. Like you guys are doing some cool stuff. So keep on doing it. If you haven't noticed, I will keep talking. I don't know how to shut up. I have like batteries that they just wear out eventually. So unless anybody has anything they want to say, I'm gonna play the outro, set you guys free.
We've got more on the way, definitely. So
yeah, we do.
Hell yeah.
There's definitely more from Mercurial. It's not just like the next one's coming. It's like not legit drawn. Yeah. Like Kurt's a fucking animal.
Hell yeah. So yeah, get to the campaign, give us some love, make these guys, we got to keep them pumping out the jams. Issue 2's coming. We need issue 3. We need issue 4. I need issue 12. Honestly, keep the horror train, going. More is more. I agree, Pierre. All right, everybody. It's been 3 nights in a row of Blake's Buzz, and I somehow survived it. I'm proud of myself.
Nice work.
you guys ran a hell of a campaign. I'm proud of you both too. I hope the last few hours are nice and chill for you, and you get the little bump, and then you guys get to deal with the fulfillment headache, which I have no nice words for that part. Oh no, wait, Doug has to deal with that. Sorry, Doug. Doug likes it. He likes making the boxes. He makes them, he snacks them up.
We got a system here too for shipping, so I don't think it'll be from shipping art and stuff like that from all those years. Like we've got some.
Nice.
I've already got shit bought, like Gemini mailers and shit. So we'll be. Yeah. Now I just got to look up those fucking Mylar backer boards.
Yes, yeah. Definitely check out the clear backer boards because they're cool. They're so pretty. Mylar is pretty too. I wish it wasn't so expensive. Anyways, like Jason, also thank you for I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's so weird. It's so weird how like industry people watch my show. I'm still not used to that. Like it freaks me out. It's cool, but like like when like I'm like, ooh, that guy like I know him. Why is he watching my show? Stop it. David Azan does that too. He pops in every now and then, makes me feel special. So you guys. If you guys want to do that too, I won't ever get mad at you, I promise. But yeah, all right. So everybody, good night. This is it for Blake's Buzz for the week. I'm going to go back to writing articles at Geek Network and getting comics printed for people on Kickstarter and stuff. And I'll be back next week with more stuff. And then I'm going to drop the Mark Waid Planet Comic Con interview on Friday. So I got some stuff for you. Just won't be live. I'm going to take a nap. All right, guys, it was so fun. I love your books. I don't know if I made that clear. I really, really love your book like so much. It makes me feel weird. Not like climbing the rope in gym class weird, but like scared of being made to climb the rope in gym class. Yeah. All weirds are welcome.
It's true.
And I fucking mean that 110%. And on that note, I am going to say good night. Guys, I will talk to you soon. Chat, I will talk to you all soon. I'll see you all on the internet. Love more, hate less, read comics. I love y'all.